Today I'm going to talk about the history brush and the art history brush. This is one of a series of videos that I've been doing describing all of these tools that you have available here on the left hand side. Now for the history brush and the art history brush to work properly, you need to have your history panel open. To do that, you go to Window and click on History. And you can see it popped open here, History. And what History does is show step by step everything that you do. You can use the History panel to step backward, where normally you would go to Edit, Step Backward, or Step Forward. You'd step back to undo something. Here you can simply click on it. I just stepped forward, now I stepped backward. You can just click on it here in the history panel. Now say I had this photo of this lady and I was doing some work on it and I decided to get rid of these moles on her face. I could do that with the spot healing brush or any of the healing tools. But I'm just going to use spot healing, and we'll just click one time on each mole to remove them. There's one here on her neck. And I've gone along and let's see, maybe I want to remove this hair. This is going to be a sloppy repair job, but I'm just cleaning up this photo. Now say I decided I want that mole back. Now I can't step backward. If I step backward, I'm going to lose all the other work that I've done. If I go back in my history until I find the spot where that mole, that's actually the first thing I did. That large mole, I want that back. If I undo all the way to the beginning, then I've lost all of my work. So I don't really want to do that. So what I can do is, using the history brush, I can bring it back. This little symbol right here is the state, that is the source for the history brush. And that is where the brush will take you back to that state. So if I choose the history brush, and I actually should have made a duplicate of this layer before I made changes. That way I could shut it off and see where that mole was exactly, but I'm just going to guess it was right around here. I hit it. So with my history brush, I can bring that one mole back, and I haven't changed any of the other things that I did. And now I could continue on from here. It's a good way to undo something that you decide later you really wish you had that back, without having to redo all of your work. And like I said, I really should have made a duplicate of the background first. That's actually a standard, to always duplicate your background. But anyway, that shows that tool. The other tool, which by the way I can get to the secondary tool, I can either left click and hold, and this little fly out menu pops out, and then point to the one I want, or I can right click on there and it instantly pops open, and then left click to choose the other one. This is the art history brush. You can also use the Y on your keyboard, and each time you hit the Y, it'll flip back and forth between these two brushes. I don't switch my brushes that often. I just use the mouse. So I'm going to switch photos here to show you this one. Now the art history brush has the same thing that other normal brushes have as far as your mode, opacity, and so on. But this is different. The style, you have all these different styles, and we'll go through these in a moment. I'm going to start with the loose curl long because it's the biggest, makes the biggest change. The area is going to be how big of an area. Right now it's set at 50 pixels. How large of an area is it going to use to make my loose curl long? And I'm going to do a new layer, and as you can see, there's that history symbol. So it's going to make loose curl long strokes based on what is in this layer where I originally opened it. And this is let's get a little bit bigger brush, maybe about a 10 pixel brush. And this is going to make long loose curls. Now I haven't changed my original, it's still under there. And you can do loose curl, tight curls, dabs. And what this does is it sort of gives it an artistic look. And you have to play with which style you're using. It also makes a difference how large your brush is. If I make the brush 50 pixels, let me go back to the loose curls. You completely cannot tell what this is supposed to be a picture of if you use a brush this big. But it's nice for kind of mixing it up and making a background to begin with. And then you can reduce the size of your brush. Go back down to 10, and I'm going to go tight, short strokes. And I'm going to start painting in my flower. And the smaller your brush, the more detail you're going to get. And also, seems like maybe the dab is more like a photograph and less like paint. If I want to bring in more detail in a specific area, I just keep reducing the size of my brush. I'm going to go down to 3 pixels, and I start bringing in more area, or more detail, I mean. And you can pick and choose. You can switch brushes in the middle of it, make the edges curly, or I can go to dab and straighten that up a little bit. So it's a fun tool to use to make an artistic representation of a photo. You can make a portrait look like a painting, and it's definitely something you have to play with and experiment and just try different things. And nothing is destroyed or irredeemable, because you still have your original under here. And say if I wanted to bring this back to looking exactly like the photo, I could switch over to the history brush and just single click right there and just bring that center back into focus like the original. So those are those two tools, and the history brush in particular can be very valuable for colorizing. And when you're restoring photos, if you made a mistake and you realize it later, oh, that woman had earrings on and I cloned them out, but I cloned them out a half an hour ago. You can go to your history brush and bring those earrings back. So I hope this is helpful, and let me know if you have any questions.